Podcast fam, Charlie is a Gainesville native, a true ACR who took his sales skills and turned them into our area's largest independent publishing company. His award-winning publications have been a staple of our community for over 20 years. In today's episode, we talk about Gainesville as a hometown. We hear a story Charlie has told no one. We talk about getting the push to pursue your own venture, doing an owner finance deal when buying a business, recognizing it's time to phase out a part of your business, and so much more. Enjoy today's episode. You are listening to WHOA Podcast, coming to you from Gainesville, Florida. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the WHOA GNV Podcast, the podcast bringing you businesses and individuals that make you go, whoa. I am your host, Collin, and my co-host, Michael Dees, isn't here tonight, you guys. Not feeling too hot, so I'm solo tonight on the microphone. So if you are a Michael Dees fan, come back in a couple of weeks because he will be back. I'm recording back-to-back episodes tonight, so like a couple of weeks, send him some love in the meantime. And you guys got some sponsors that I want to thank to kick this episode off. This podcast episode is coming to you because of our incredible friends at Dar Shakow Insurance. John Dar is the man. His team is awesome. I know, Charlie, you agree, right?
I can't believe we're starting this thing talking about John Dar, too. Like, this is how it starts?
You're like, why can't I just have my moment? Why does this have to be about you, so John Dar?
Dirt on this guy. No, he's fantastic. They're the best, man. Are you kidding? They're the best.
That's awesome. The Dar Shakow Insurance crew takes care of all the insurance needs for our companies and for all of my personal needs as well. They just got me a discount on my auto insurance because I bundled it with my homeowner's insurance, baby.
Dude, that's the way to do it.
That's the way to do it. They will find a way to make sure you are covered at a fantastic rate. Plus, they are great people with a huge heart for this community. They have nearly 400 all 5-star reviews for a reason. Did you know that?
No, I'm one of them for sure, though.
Yeah, all 5 stars, man.
That's crazy.
Crushing
he deletes the other ones, though, right?
I don't think you can do that.
Can you do that?
No.
If anybody can figure that out,
let us know.
It'd be Dar.
We are so grateful for you guys. So be sure to check them out for all of your insurance needs by visiting them at darshakowinsurance.com. That's DARSCHACKOW insurance.com, or give them a call at 352-338-0552. And I also want to give a huge thank you to Leonardo's Pizza of Millhopper.
Oof.
Kyle and his team have been so supportive of our show. This is one of your favorites too, huh?
Oh my God, I love it so much.
You guys were talking about on your show, right?
I have the funniest Kyle Cohan story to tell you too. I don't know that I should say on this, but I might.
All right.
But I do love Leonardo so much.
Oh, you guys, well, they've been so supportive of our show, but even greater than that, they're so supportive of our community. In 2020 alone, in a very trying time, they donated over $20,000 worth of pizza and sponsored $5,000 in fundraisers for homeless shelters, hospital staff, local nonprofits, and school groups. Kyle and his team are absolutely amazing. So do us a big favor, you guys, to send them a huge thank you for supporting us. Please go to leonardosmillhopper.com or call them at 352-376-2001 and let them know that we sent you over there. And of course, get linked up with all of our sponsors that make this show possible by going to whoagnv.com/sponsors. You're gonna tell us a quick Kyle story?
Now? Already?
How quick is it?
Oh, it's quick, dude. It's like 90 seconds.
All right, yeah, tell us a quick Kyle.
So our kids went to school together, and we were like in elementary school. So Kyle and I signed up for a field trip one day, and it's at Gainesville Health and Fitness. It's like a body unit or something like that. So we go to Gainesville Health and Fitness. We're all walking around. One of the kids falls into the pool accidentally, all right? And so Kyle's like, I'll take him into the bathroom and help him change or get dried up or whatever. So we all kind of go out front. We're waiting, and Kyle's there for a long time. We're there for a long time. He's not coming out. I'll go back in and grab him. And I walk into the bathroom, and he's holding this kid in the air over the air dryer, over the hand dryer. And I walk in, and I'm like, look at him, and he goes, I'm just trying to dry him off, dude. I don't know what to do. I'm like, let's go. Let's just get out of here. Don't worry about it. We put the clothes back on the kid and walk back out. And Kyle was like, I don't know what to do, but I gotta go, guys. I'll see you later. So that was, I got to see Kyle like hold some random child up to a hairdryer in the middle of the Gainesville Fitness.
He's always
funny.
there supporting members of the community. Even if he's got to hold them up,
even if he's got to save some kid out of drowning in the pool. It was really funny, actually. So
what a superhero
he is, actually. Plus those garlic knots, dude, are just.
Oh my gosh, man. The best.
You guys ate that on the one that he was here, and you guys were like eating it, and it was like Michael was like pigging out on him. It was
it's the absolute.
It's
greatest.
the best. I agree. It's the best.
Today on the show, we have Charlie Delatorre of Tower Publications. My friend, welcome.
Thanks, man.
Dude, and like, you brought the good stuff too. Hold this up. Like,
I brought some bourbon for us to partake in.
This is why we started recording the show in the evening.
It's good stuff.
Because it's like happy hour. We can like...
it's the way to go, man.
Cheers it up in our Colliers International cups.
Indeed.
Another sponsor, boom.
Are they? Mm-hmm. It's a good group.
Yeah, man. So, good stuff. So Charlie. Dude,
yes, Collin.
I don't know if you've ever watched an episode of this. I watch all of y'all's episodes, by the way.
What episodes are you referring to?
The prime time.
Premium time. Premium time.
Shoot.
It is. I think that's
Premium time
Deion
with,
Sanders.
Okay. Premium time with John Darr.
Yeah.
When's he gonna add and Charlie Delatorre?
I don't know. I think it's all part of. We're still in contractual negotiations at this point. It's fun, actually. That whole thing is. John and I have been talking about it for a couple of years. Usually it's weekend fishing trips, and we're like, what we should do? And then he finally pulled the trigger, and that has been fun. So thanks for you're one of like the 3 people who are watching it. So thank you for that.
And you're doing that with our friend Elio Piedra over at the Fiesta Media.
He's the man, dude.
He's the man, dude. That's a lot of fun.
Leave it to a fellow Cuban to get some stuff done. Am I right? So I'm Cuban. I don't know if you know.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Yeah. Most people think that last name is Italian, but
no,
I do like Italian food. But no, it's Cuban. Yeah.
Cool. And so when's that show going out?
It is Tuesdays at 3:00. So it's kind of it's totally different than what you guys do here. This is a sort of a live YouTube and Facebook Live sort of event. It's Tuesdays at 3:00. It's about 30 minutes. We really just kind of do a few different segments of like Charity of the Week. We do Our Town Article of the Week. We do an insurance tip of the week. We talk a little bit of smack. John and I have known each other for a long time, so it's really easy to kind of rip. I don't know, man. All of it, like all. We both were born and raised here in Gainesville, so
okay.
There's an ACR history there, I think. And you had Reed on the other day, Reed Fogler, another true ACR guy.
Yeah.
So we, like our whole lives kind of thing. But it's funny is that John and I. We went to different high schools. He went to Buchholz and I went to GHS, GHS is obviously the superior high school in town. And, so John went to Buchholz and we had friends that we all knew together, but he and I never hung out. So it was like one of those things where even in this small town, we still ran within our own sort of groups. And so we still get together and talk about like, well, you know this guy? Yeah, I do. You know this person? Yeah, I do. But we never did a lot of hanging out until we were grown-ups, until we kind of had kids and businesses and stuff. So yeah, there's a few shenanigans in there. So when we get on the show, it's easy to kind of riff about random things that have happened in the past.
Cool.
PG. We try to keep those stories PG.
And that goes out every Tuesday.
Tuesdays at 3:00.
Tuesdays at 3. You can find it on YouTube and Facebook.
Correct. Thank you for that.
And Premium time with John. All you got to do is Premium time with John Darr. Not Premium time with Charlie Delatorre.
No.
With John
No,
Darr.
but we got to talk to Johnny about that, I guess.
Yeah,
and see, I got to get it on the billing somehow.
Hey, man, if I get the opportunity to razz John on this show, I'm going to take it.
I'm going to help you. So I can even supply photos for later production, for post-production.
Hey, awesome, man. That's what I'm talking about. Coming through,
Dude, I got your back, man. I got your back.
So with this show,
yes,
we like to dive into your story. All right, so now we know you're a true ACR, but let's go back. Tell us how you got to where you are today, why you got into publications and all this fun stuff.
Okay, man. So remember that scene in the Goonies when they're torturing Chunk? Is that his name? And he's in the blender, and they're like, "Tell me everything." And he's like, I was a fat kid," and he's like talking about when he was a really little baby. I feel like that's what you just asked me. Start at the very very beginning. So I was born actually here in Gainesville, so this is my hometown, and grew up here. Went to elementary school, middle school, and high school here. We were talking about this earlier, sort of before we started filming, those of us who kind of grew up in town, it's weird because you kind of have different lives, right? And so those of us who have done this know that you sort of have your childhood here, and then if you go to college, you kind of have your college life here, and then if you stay and have a business or get employed and you stay, you sort of have a third life here. And so sometimes these circles sort of combine. And so you meet somebody and you're like, man, I know this person, but I don't know like which life I know them from. Was I a kid or was it like college? It's all a big haze. And so, yeah, I can't go anywhere without running into somebody that we kind of know. So, but yeah, I was born and raised here in Gainesville, and I was lucky enough to go to UF and then stay here afterwards. And I say lucky enough because it's a great town. I left for a little while and then came crawling back, to be honest with you.
Did you leave prior to college or after college?
After college, I graduated from UF, and then I went to Orlando, and I got hired immediately by Barnes & Noble bookstores.
So I'm kind of, okay, real quick.
Go back.
I'm kind of interested in this. Yeah, I feel like the mindset is like when you live in a city and you like grow up in a city, like you're trying to escape for college. Like I almost expect my children living here, like I would love for them to go to UF, but I kind of preparing myself for that. No, I'm like leaving. Did you have any like that tenant like I gotta get out of Gainesville? I've been here my entire life. Like,
funny you ask. I did actually. I left my first couple of years. I went to Florida Southern in Lakeland. So Florida Southern is a great school in the middle of Florida. I don't really know why I chose it. Okay, I chased a girl there, and pretty much, and ended up in Florida Southern for a couple of years, and loved it, but the plan was always for me to come back and graduate from UF at some point. So I kind of wanted to get out of town for a couple of years, and I did so. And yeah, I think you're right. I think the mindset is to get out of Dodge, right? When you grow up in Pembroke Pines, you're like, man, if I could get to UF, that'd be great. Like Gainesville is sort of like this college town, and you've never been there, and it's awesome. When you grow up in Gainesville, you're like, I need to go to a city, or I need to go somewhere else. I think, and it's just that want to get away from, I think, your parents and what you grew up doing. And so, yeah, you're screwed, dude. Your kids are definitely going somewhere else, right? I have one and one. Myself. So I have one who went to UF and one who is a senior in high school who is not going to UF. So he's just basically said, I have created a donut, and the center is Gainesville, and I will not be attending the donut hole at all. So get me out of Dodge.
Gotcha. So you went to UF?
Yeah, I went to UF, graduated from UF, and then I got lucky enough.
What'd you major in?
Political science and business. So I was going to be a lawyer. I worked for some lawyers here in town. Ooh, this was fun. Entrepreneurial spirit that is early on here is I started working for a law firm over the summer, and then I turned that into a runner's job, like a running job at the end of the summer semester. So I basically worked for them, and then I went to the guy across the street and I said, hey, I'm going to be working for those guys for $5. It was $5 an hour. Yes, it was like 1947. It was like $5 an hour, and I was working from 2 to 5, so it was 15 hours a day. But I went across the street, and I got that guy to pay me $5 an hour, and then the guy across the street. So I was working for 3 different law firms, and I was basically just like delivering stuff to the post office and going to the courthouse and dropping stuff off and serving subpoenas, which was really fun, actually.
Now, were you able to get this where it's $5 an hour
each
at the same time?
Same time. So it was $15 an hour. Dude, I was killing it.
You're
so here
smart.
I was feeling
Smart.
like, and they were loving it. They were feeling like they got a great deal. So, and then I realized I don't want to be a lawyer. I wanted to be Matlock. Like, remember Matlock? That show?
Yeah.
You're too young for this,
yeah,
right?
You're right.
Damn it.
I do kind of remember the name of the show.
Pat Perry Mason?
Yeah, like I know like of Matlock, but I never
Like I just wanted to be in the courtroom and be like, aha, you did it! And like bust if somebody, but then nobody ever goes to court, dude. That's just not how it works. And so I quickly realized it's all about being a paper pusher, and I'm terrible at that. And so I got a degree in political science and in business, and then I went to go work for Barnes & Noble. They hired me right out of college, and I went to go work for their flagship store in Orlando at the time and became, at the time, I don't know if it's true anymore, the youngest operations manager in Barnes & Noble history at the time. I was 21 years old, living in Orlando and working retail hell, and it was, exactly
crazy
that.
You could used to go to a store to buy books.
I know, that's a crazy concept, right, dude? Like, remember Amazon started selling books?
Yeah.
I remember when like I was working at Barnes & Noble, like, have you heard of Amazon? Like, they're selling books and they're going to put us out of business. And I was like,
do you remember those
yeah,
books?
totally.
Were people like, ah, no.
I was like, what the hell is Amazon? Isn't that like a river or something? Like, what are you talking about? What's the internet? Like, I'm not kidding. Like, there was a change this was I graduated in 93. So like 94, 95. I graduated from UF in 93. 94, 95.
Okay.
The internet was not a thing, really, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, I know that
That's my
seems
AOL
really
Instant
weird.
Messenger days right there.
I had that.
Yeah, what was your AOL?
I don't remember.
IM name.
I don't remember that. Do you remember yours?
It was Gators with a Z, 17.
But you weren't here yet,
Gators.
right?
No, I was in high school, man.
Yeah, what year did you graduate from high school?
2000.
Oh my God, he's
so
2000.
middle school, I guess, when you were graduating from. I graduated from high school in 2000, yeah. I was here at UF from 2000 to 2004.
Yeah, I had a drinking problem by the time you already graduated from high school. So that's definitely, that's not cool. I feel old. That's not funny. Not funny. Yeah, so I went to Orlando and then was there for a couple of years and ended up kind of limping back to Gainesville after that just did not go the way I was hoping it would. And I got to do some really cool things. Like I got to open and train and open stores all across the state of Florida. So I was able to go to different places and help hire and train booksellers. And I had some restaurant experience, so I got to fly to Starbucks in Seattle and train there for for a couple of weeks and then come back and open these cafes at the various locations across the state. It was a lot of fun, but I was working 60, 70, 80 hours and getting paid very, very little money.
You're like, I used to make $15 an hour running subpoenas for 3
Seriously? Bro, I have some great subpoena stories that I cannot tell on this thing, but
thanks for bringing them up then.
No, but we can keep drinking later and then I'll tell you all about them, but they were crazy. So I came kind of back to Gainesville and I took a job working, I found, remember classified ads?
Yep.
Barely.
Yeah.
So I used the classified ads and got a job as a sales rep working for a place called the Buyer's Guide, which is a shopper here in Gainesville. Had been here since 1971, and I was selling advertising in Ocala, essentially. And that's what started sort of my career in publications, is just starting I grew up on the sales side, on the ad side.
So was this one of those things where like you're come back and you're just kind of trying to find a job? Or was it like, I want to...
I was literally trying to decide between a job selling Alltel cell phones, like back in the day, or whether I was going to sell advertising for the Buyer's Guide. And I was like, man, I don't know. I'm going to do this one because it seems easier, I think. So but I ended up being really good at it.
That was what year? 93? 4?
95.
Graduated in 93.
95, 96.
Okay.
Yeah, 95.
Oh, so you're back in Gainesville for the national championship?
Oh,
year?
Yeah. For Warfel and all that joke, for sure.
Awesome.
Gator through and through. Like, I didn't miss a game for like 10 or 11 years in a row. It's pretty great.
Crazy.
It's pretty sweet. Yeah. So I loved it. Like, I kind of took this job thinking, well, I'll just do this until something else kind of comes along. And I was good at it. And I liked it a lot. And I had some freedom and I could work with clients and businesses, and I was selling a very specific kind of advertising, but I really enjoyed it. And I got to like talk to my clients and be like, what's your problem this week and how can I solve you? And this was a weekly paper. It was an 11 county shopper, so it covered a huge market, tens of thousands of copies all across 11 counties. So I got to really sink my teeth into what's your problem this week and how can I help you solve it? And I really dug that. Like that really kind of struck for me. Ocala, Marion County was my territory primarily, and kind of one thing led to another, and I did that for a while, and like not very long, like 6 months, and my boss said, oh man, I don't know how much I can say about this, but it's a crazy story about my boss, but my boss...
That's the story everybody wants to hear.
You want to hear a story that nobody else knows?
Yes, please.
Okay, this dude who hired me, the day he hired me tells me, you're going to become the general manager of this product, and I'm leaving here in less than a year. I have never sold ad. Never sold anything.
So this was a prophecy, or is this like...
He was like, you're going to be great at this. You're born at this. I've been doing this for 25 years. You know exactly what you're doing. So you just recognized
the talent.
I guess, dude. I mean, I didn't particularly... I'm like, yeah, talent. Yeah, I got talent. Yeah. So now, quick story on this. This guy's name is Carl Ferrer. This name may or may not sound familiar to you at all, because Carl... quite a bit of a prophecy, did hire me. He did leave within a year. I did become the sales manager of that property after he left, and then promoted to the general manager pretty quickly after that. We had a team of maybe 11 or 12 employees at the time. Carl went on to do a bunch of other things, but he's mainly known for the fact that he also started something called Backpage. Maybe you've heard of Backpage.com.
No, I'm way too young for that.
So Backpage was this classified website that took on Craigslist. Essentially is Craigslist, but became a much dirtier version of Craigslist.
Okay.
All right. And over the years, and I lost track of Carl after years. I would see him a couple of times at our national conferences and stuff as a vendor. He went on to start start Backpage with a company called New Times, which is all over the United States. They own properties, alternative weekly newspapers all over the United States. Bought it then from New Times at some point with a couple of other guys, and eventually is in federal prison for money laundering, racketeering, endangerment of a minor, and pimping, because Backpage became sort of an escort site.
Oh, no.
And this dude currently, as we talk right now, sits in federal prison in Texas or California. I don't really remember. Because he laundered like $100 million through this website or something like that. Guy who hired me in 1995 or 96 and said, you're going to be taking this property over. Nobody knows that story, dude.
Oh, my gosh. Right here, exclusive.
I mean, it's one of those things where I'm like, this. By the way, he bailed on a federal subpoena in front of Congress. So there's like photos of him online of an empty chair with his nameplate as senators sat to question him on this. There was federal raids on his property and a bunch of other. I mean, he got into some bad dude. So
this is how you got your start, huh?
The dude who hired me. Now, he had nothing to do with that at the time, all right? So, like, this was something that happened years and years and years later. Yeah, bro, there you go. You said the one thing that
That's crazy.
Nobody knows that story, really.
That's
true
awesome.
Story.
And it's not awesome for him. It's an awesome story for you to share on the show.
I think he did a lot of really shady stuff.
That's awesome. I don't. That's one of those things that gets completely taken out of context.
They did this I remember no. I know what you're saying. They did this big documentary on this whole history of Backpage. It was on HBO or
I'm gonna have to
Netflix,
find this.
something like that. And I was like, they're showing pictures of him, and I'm like,
I'm gonna make it.
I rode
is he
in a
gonna get out
car
of
with
prison?
this guy.
How long is he in prison for? You have any idea?
Long time.
New goal. I'm gonna get that guy on the show.
Invite me,
I'm gonna
dude. All right,
I'm gonna show him a clip. I'm like, so we several years ago.
Remember this guy?
Yeah. This is what he said.
Oh my God. Dude, what I'm saying is 100% true, and it was the craziest. I don't know what happened there, but just. All
right, so he handed this thing off to you, and
he really did. It was owned by a company. Now, he really did me a favor because the product was very well received here in town. It was very profitable. It was owned by a company called Journal Communications, which owns the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was at the time the largest employee-owned organization in the United States. So I was able to sort of create a career there in the 4 or 5 years that I was with them before I ended up buying it. So I became a general manager. I got a lot of training. I was able to kind of work with they owned 100 different centers across the United States at the time. Journal Sentinel was a very well-respected journalist organization in Milwaukee, still is really, and the company that I worked for was called Ad Inc. It was started by a very aggressive entrepreneurial guy who I absolutely loved. Everybody in the company was terrified of this guy. His name was Tom Karavakis, all right? And I loved him. He and I clicked the minute I met him. He reminded me of my father a lot, and he basically had started this company that Journal Communications then bought for him, and he became a very wealthy man because of that. And he took a liking to me, and he and I kind of hit it off, and everybody in the company was terrified of this guy. And I was like, he's great. Just do your job and you'll be fine. And people were scared of Tom. And Tom and I got along great. So for the next 3 or 4 years, I was able to really mentor under him while I was still working in Gainesville, Florida, at this small little shopper in the middle of nowhere. But I had access to people who really had done great things in this industry at the time. Community newspapers was what they primarily focused on. We were not. We were a shopper. Down and dirty shopper, classified ads, display ads for car guys and all that kind of stuff. But I got to learn a lot from Tom. When Tom retired, along his retirement within a couple of years, they really wanted to change focuses and they wanted to divest themselves of properties across the United States. And I had the opportunity to buy that property, which is really kind of a cool story, but I don't know. Take up too much time. Keep going.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. I got a time limit, right, dude? I'm Cuban. I'll talk all day long. All right. This is.
I love cool stories, so.
Dude. The company ended up so. I had been a great producer for them. Our product had done very, very well for the company as a whole, but they were looking to only go into the community news business, and they wanted to get rid of all their shoppers. So they had, in principle, agreed to sell our product. I did not know this at the time, to a guy in Jacksonville, this dude named Collier Black, who still lives there, a great guy. Collier calls me and says, hey, I'm thinking about doing a deal with Ad Inc. Would you come to Jacksonville and meet me? Had nothing to do with my property. Come to find out, he had already bought, in principle, our paper, and he was basically interviewing me. And he was basically finding out whether or not I was the guy that he wanted to work with. All right? Sly. I had no idea. So sly. That was on a Friday. Saturday morning, my phone rings. Man, we had a little baby at the house. My wife and I were like Lauren was maybe 2 months old, okay? And I agreed. He called me and said, I want to let you know that I had negotiated to buy your product, your paper. What? He's like, yeah, I was basically interviewing you yesterday for a job, and I decided I don't want you to work for me.
Oh, dang.
I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, and I'm not going to buy the paper. You are. And I went, what? Wait, what? Wait, what are you talking about? And he goes, I can't, nobody in Ad Inc. knows what you're doing there. All you're doing is making up money. Nobody knows what's happening. I can't have an employee of mine work for me and I have no idea how they're doing it. I can't work. I would need to learn everything you're doing and then fire you and find somebody who's my guy, because you'll never be my guy. He's like, and I can't do that to you. I like you too much.
Oh, dang.
So I called Tom this morning and I told him that I'm out of the deal and you need to buy it. He's like, and you have them, can I say this? You have them by the balls and they don't know it. And you don't know it. So call him and tell him you're buying this paper. I went, I don't have any money, dude. He goes, so what? Make them pay for it. So sure enough, I hung up the phone. I told my wife, I was like, Collier's packing out of the deal. He says we should buy it. And she goes, yeah, we should. She walks out of the room. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? So I called Tom and I went, hey, I heard from Collier he's not buying the paper. I didn't know you guys were selling it and what's going on. And he's like, yeah, well, you're fine. Don't worry about it. The company, we're not going to sell it anymore. We'll keep it. And I went, no, it's not how this is working. I said, I'm buying the paper. And he goes, well, can you? And I went, nope. But if I don't, I walk in 2 weeks and you guys can figure out what you do with your property. I don't care.
Dang.
I'll call you Monday. That's what he says. Monday morning, I get a call and he goes, we got to work on terms. And I went, no, I already know what he was paying. That's what I'm going to pay. Well, he was going to pay all cash. Can you do that? I went, nope. But you can finance it for me. And I need you to finance it for me. That's what they did. So like this happened in October, and December 22nd, we closed. And they financed it for me. I used my employee stock program to help pay the down payment for it. And I sat awake on December 31st, 1999. This is before Y2K. Like it was the night before Y2K. Do you remember this? Y2K was like for those of you at home who have never heard of Y2K, this was like the world was going to fall apart, remember?
Yes.
And I sat out there, Y2K, December 31st, 1999, and I thought, how the hell am I going to make payroll next week? And everybody in the office already knew what was happening, and I came in on Monday morning, and we started running, and we never looked back. And that was kind of the beginning of Tower Publications.
So you were able to make payroll that week.
I did make payroll that week. I handed everybody their aging, and I went, I need you guys to go collect this crap like right now. Like I got to pay you on Thursday.
How big was payroll?
Then?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Maybe 15 grand.
Okay. So, I mean, it was a
number
sizable.
where it was more than I saw.
Yeah.
I stayed awake on that December 31st while the world did not fall apart, and think, how am I going to do this? And so, yeah, I mean, that's exactly how, and Collier called me. I haven't talked to him in the last few years, if I'm being honest, but like Collier called me every year on December 22nd and said, congratulations on buying your business
That's
for
awesome.
like 15 years.
Dang, that's awesome.
Every year, and said, it's the best decision I ever made. You were such a rock star. So that's kind of how that went down.
Do you ever like reflect on those moments and be like, what if I hadn't gotten that push?
All the time, because I mean, I'm kind of giving you a summary of everything that kind of happened. So there's some details in there that I've kind of omitted, but I had worried that our property would be divested at some point because of what had happened in other places. And so I started looking around, and I had made a couple of decisions to not leave town. My wife was very pregnant at the time. This is before Lauren was born in August. This was more in like April, May. I felt like something was coming. And so I started looking for jobs. And I think all the time, like, what if I turned down a really great job at this place in Miami that I just couldn't see myself in, but it was a great job. And it paid me a lot more money than I was making. And I turned it down. But I felt like that was coming a bit. And so, yeah, I have thought of that a lot. I do think of that a lot. I also think about like, just the cojones I had to make that decision at the time, and I gotta be honest, man. I mean, like it was a joint decision at the time. We had just had a baby. My wife and I were talking about what was happening. Like it was, she never wanted to look back. She's like, let's do it. And yeah, it was a gut check moment, but it was a cool story, and it's a cool origin story for what we did.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And I haven't really told that in a long time. So I haven't really talked about that in a while because people kind of either know it or so long ago it doesn't much matter anymore. But what's crazy is that 3 of the employees, and now we have only 8 employees now, right? At the time, but this time right now we have 8 people. 4 of them were with me then.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they were there the day that I went, I need you to go collect this so that I can do payroll.
So that was December 22nd of what year?
1999.
Dang.
So our official first day in business was January 1st, 2000. Like January 1st, 2000 was our first day of Tower Publications.
Okay. So you get into this business that you now own. Well, so can you tell me a little bit about the like owner finance, if you will, like that they did for you? Like, well, how long? like what were those terms? Like, how long of an agreement? Like, how was that all worked out?
So yeah, sure, I don't mind at all.
Because I feel like there's probably a lot of businesses that would be some pretty valuable information.
Yeah. So really great question, and I got coached by Collier, if I'm being completely frank. Like he helped me through this. When he said, "You're buying it, I'm not," and I went, "How am I going to do that?" And he goes, I'll help you figure this out." So I'm not some genius. He helped me. And he had some insider knowledge because he had already had agreement in principle that he was able to share with me. He was not signed to a non-disclosure agreement, so he was pretty easy to tell me. And this was a large corporation that owned hundreds of papers across the country. So essentially what happened was we negotiated a price for the product, and they agreed to
sell. You can tell us how much?
It was $150,000, which
Okay.
is not a lot of money. But to me,
it's a lot of money.
I was making $35,000 a year as the GM of this product. All right,
Yeah.
so to me, it was like 5 times my annual salary. It was a lot of money.
For sure.
So it was $150,000, but it was generating probably $1 million a year in revenue. So I bought $1 million revenue business for $150,000 because they were just trying to they wanted a cash grab by the end of the year to divest themselves of products that they didn't feel were part of their future plans. They wanted to divest themselves of shoppers and only stay in the community news business. So I used $21,000 as what I had in my retirement account at the time. It's so stupid. And it was all stock options.
How old were you at this point?
26.
Okay.
27. It was a baby.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of.
I mean, not really, but
no, but I mean, at this point, you're married, you have a kid on the way. I mean, not a lot of people are taking that entrepreneurial leap with those kind of I guess circumstances.
No,
those.
No, it was no, and I didn't have. I mean, I really didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. We were just out of college. We had student debt that we were paying off, and
did your wife think you were crazy? I mean, she said
it was her idea, dude.
Yeah,
it wasn't mine.
She was the one who was like, okay, that's a great idea. Let's go.
She was just like, okay, that sounds good. Let's do that. She had 100% faith. Always has. Never faltered. And so like it was after we had that detail, like after we had that initial meeting. And they came back to me on Monday and said, like, well, we have to negotiate a price. I said, no, I don't. The price has already been set. You've already set it. They're like, yeah, but that was a cash offer and this. And I was like, I can't do it. So I said to them, and I had leverage that a lot of business owners I don't think have. So this is like owning a franchise, let's say, and they haven't come visit you in 5 years.
Right.
All you're doing is they're handling your accounting essentially, and that's it. And so
like they're going to lose if you walk away.
If I walked away at the time, they would have nobody to put in it, and they would have not been able to put on an issue the next week.
Right.
And I never saw that. I never saw that leverage until Collier said,
"Dude,
you've got them, and you don't know it." And
Yeah.
so it was easy for me to say, "I don't want to do this." And I said it to them. I was like, because I'm not trying to sound like I'm cool. I'm not that cool. I just said, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, you weren't trying to come in as like a hard ass business guy.
The only hard-ass thing I did was I made the guy bring me a box of cigars because I did not like the new president. And so I made him bring a box of cigars to closing. That was a bit of a jerk move, but I don't care. Like, I really did do that. But I wasn't trying to be a jerk at the time. I was just like, these are the facts. I need to make a decision for me and my family. This is the price I'm going to pay. I can give you $21,000. You're going to finance the other $129,000. Let's negotiate an interest rate. Let's negotiate a monthly payment. And we did it over a 5-year term, I think is what it was. And so they did it. I mean, that all took some time and some negotiations, but it happened pretty quickly. I mean, this was mid-October when this happened, and we closed less than 2 months later. So they were pretty amenable to making this happen. They needed it to happen.
Did it take all 5 years for you to pay it back?
Yeah, I wasn't going to pay him $1 sooner than I... No, because I got bitter at some point where I was like, they tricked me by making me go meet this guy, and... So like we had the ability to pay it sooner, and I was like, I'm not paying them any money any sooner than I needed to, and they didn't care. It didn't really matter. I mean, they're $100, $200, $300 million company at the time, so it didn't really matter to them. And so no, I didn't do it.
Did you get in there right away? So once it's yours, like, are you getting in there and you're like making it your own, or you're
totally? So I had to
changing it right away.
We had already centralized production facilities somewhere else. So I had production was in Orange Park because they had owned 4 or 5 products in Orange Park, and then we didn't have a classified department that had been centralized in Wisconsin. Long story. So I had to hire people to bring back to basically run our classified department, run our production department. There's a dude in town named Hank McAfee who was instrumental in this process for me. Hank was my production liaison that I hired when he was 19 years old, to be a production liaison between our reps and our centralized production department. And Hank, I then went to him the day that all this was going down, and I went, well, after we had already agreed, and I went, hey, dude, close the door. He comes in, he sits down. I was like, I'm going to buy the paper. What? I need to bring production in-house. Can you do that? Yeah, I can do that. I went, can you really? He's like, nope, but I'm going to figure it out. And I went, okay, cool. And he literally walked out the office, and he went back and started working on what computers we needed and what systems we needed and what software we needed. And he was with me till March through the pandemic. Through May. I mean, he was with me for 21 years.
Wow.
He left to go under great circumstances. He's working for Infotech here in town, got a great job.
That's awesome.
He and I are more than employee, like employer-employee. He's a great friend. I was the best man in his wedding. I love Hank. He's my younger brother that I never had. And we did it together. Like he handled production, and I handled all the sales side of stuff. And we did that for 20 years, essentially. So it's kind of cool. And I don't remember your question at this point.
Yeah, basically, what changes were you making? Because now you have like a whole bunch, bunch of things that you're involved in, right? So like, what was kind of like the transition from what it was to now you have ownership to like what it has become?
Sure. So I quickly realized I don't want to just be a shopper in the shopper business. I want to be in the magazine business. So we started Senior Times, which I didn't bring any copies, but Senior Times in Marion County, not even in Alachua County. So we started the senior magazine. My parents were getting older; they were just retiring, and I was like, "There's a need here for this." So we started an editorially based product in October of our first year in business. So October of 2000, that was Senior Times. And we started the second edition of that in January, February of 2002, so like 15 months later. And then we started the Our Town edition in High Springs and Alachua only in 2004-ish. Don't go back and fact check this crap, all right? Time doesn't no longer matters to me, all right? It's just like a construct that makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense. It's like 2004, 3 or 4, we started Our Town in High Springs, Alachua. Then we started it in Newberry and Jonesville. Then we started it in Gainesville. And then in 2009, after what was a really rough 2008 year, we closed the product that I bought. We closed the buyer's guide. So the product that I bought and was our cash cow for launching all these other products had diminished to a point where it was not what we were doing anymore. We were more of a magazine publisher.
That was a pretty easy decision.
Yeah, it was an emotional decision.
It was hard
because I got to be honest. Like, I didn't love it. I didn't love the customers. I didn't love the product. I didn't love what we did. But it was our identity for so long that getting rid of it was emotional. It was not a hard decision. It was an emotional decision. If that makes any sense. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
Does it?
Yes.
I think when you're in business, man, you do this. You know there are some things that you have to do or that you need to do, and they are, they make sense up here, and that's the easy part.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll be a little transparent with you now. Like I'm kind of in that place with my scooter dealership. Like I've had this scooter dealership for 17 years. Like this has been my baby. This has right?
been, well, bro, and you're the scooter guy.
Yeah, and there's a lot of identity around that, a lot of brand in that, and man, like for the last year and a half, like I've really, and a lot of people know. I mean, I've had this podcast for the last year and a half. Going well longer than that, going back to 2018. So dang, it's been a lot longer than that.
See how it feels?
But
it's
I was
one of those things where you're
it's like what time?
Time doesn't matter.
But last year, really 2019. Not 2020, but like really 2019, I was investing a lot of time into this new media company and into this podcast. And like, I've just, my passions have changed. My passion is for this. And so now it's like, it's time for me to kind of make a transition out of the scooter world. What does that look like? I don't know. I think that's the place where I'm trying to like figure a lot of that out. and I don't have the perfect answer right now. And there's probably going to be a lot of speculation. People are going to be like, "Oh my gosh, like what's Collin talking about? He's the scooter guy. What's happening?" But is
this breaking news?
I mean, at least in terms of like announcing it, like a lot of my friends know, because a lot of people have known that my passion has been in this.
Yeah.
But like there's just so much, there's so much wrapped up into being the scooter guy.
Man. I know that.
So that's what I'm saying. Like I can kind of relate.
Your business is bigger than mine. And is bigger than mine was at the time. And you're right. You've always done a great job. I mean, this is no BS, dude. This is you and I being in the same town for a long time. You've always branded yourself as that guy. So when that changes, that's a difficult. That's hard.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of look at it as like it's my baby. Like I've had this, it's 17 years old, and I'm like, it's time for you to leave and go to college. Like,
Mom and I need some alone time.
Yeah, it's like I love you, but go. And so it's very much that feeling.
Can I ask questions? Am I allowed to ask questions?
Sure.
Yeah, this works great. I need some cool sunglasses and a hat. Hold on. Yeah, hold on. I'll put my sunglasses on. There you go. Wait, now I look like Reed Fogler. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to make fun of him later for that too, by the way.
He'll love it.
How do you do that? How do you separate yourself from a brand that you've built like that? And how do you find?
I think by being unemotional about it. I think you have to be willing.
Bro, how do you do that?
I think it's easier said.
You want some more liquor?
That always helps.
Want some more brown water?
No, I mean, I think, I don't know. I still don't know what the exact answer is.
Mm-hmm. But it needs to happen.
I can tell you that I know for a fact it needs to happen, and I have been coming up with multiple options to make that transition. I think back in 2019, the thing is, I've kind of said, like 2019 was kind of the year where I kind of like left and was like, okay, team, you do it, right? And then we get to 2020, it's like pandemic, right? And unfortunately, it's like I got to get pulled right back in. Because I got to go do all the paperwork for the PPP. I got to, I got to look at
You're the
all
owner.
the number. Yeah, exactly. And so I'm sure there is a way to have a business that somebody else, operates. I just don't know if maybe I'm just not good at that. Maybe maybe I just need to.
That's an interesting question, by the way.
I mean, the truth is I've been like really reading a lot of material on how to look at a business more as a structure. Like I didn't really have an exit plan, right? And I was always told you should have an exit plan, but I was always like, I'm never gonna. This is my business. Like I love that. Like,
and also your age too. I mean, I know.
I just looked at it as like I'm never gonna have an exit plan. Like I don't need an exit plan. But then I realized, damn, like I'm really passionate about this podcast, and now I'm at the point of okay, this is like really growing. Like what if I dedicated more time to this? What if I went all in on this? Right. So now I'm asking, like, I don't want to be 80 years old wondering what if I would have given this my all, but instead stayed connected or handcuffed to my scooter business.
I get that, dude.
And so like ultimately I'm kind of like looking at the scooter business as saying, this is a chapter that is coming to a close for me. So it no longer, like the vision of New Scooters for Less no longer aligns with the vision of my life. That's probably the best way to put it. It's like, okay, there's
how much therapy did you go to to get that one sentence out? Come on. So that feels like that's a really
honestly,
really
I'm lucky.
Deep
I'm lucky to have a bunch of mentors and a bunch of really great people in my life. People that will listen and give me advice and
You're smarter than me, Collin.
I don't know about all that, man.
You're smarter than me, and I'll tell you why. Like you, I'm so stubborn. I don't do that very well. I don't do a lot of sharing as it relates to like I recognize it that other people have in my office. 9.9 out of every 10 good ideas does not come from me. It comes from somebody else, and yet. I've never been great at that within my business about saying I have this worry or concern or need who do I go to in order to ask that question of? There are people within my industry that don't live near here that I have access to, that I talk to. And people that I have mad respect and love for. Like one thing I realized really early on, too, and I didn't mean to cut across what you were saying.
No,
so
fine.
is I'm a little guy in the middle of Gainesville, and I needed to feel like I was part of something bigger. So I got really involved in my national association of community newspapers and community publications in general, and that helped me feel like I was part of something a little bigger. I wasn't just some lonely little publisher in Gainesville. I had peers that I could talk to and ask questions of, and that's been an invaluable experience for me. But I don't know that I've done that a whole lot locally as it relates to, here is everything behind my business. Here's how I'm feeling about stuff and what I need to be seeing and doing. Help me figure out how to get to a path on that.
Yeah.
And I know that you're involved in other like I don't want to call them think tank, mastermind groups,
Yep.
and other chamber stuff. And you've always been really, really good at that. I think that's going to go a long way in helping you realize that vision of what you just said.
Another thing that's really helped is the fact that I spend so much time giving. It's a way of giving back time to the University of Florida. Like I go in and I speak in these classes, and I get in front of students and I start telling students. And here, if I'm here telling a student, like, if you are not happy in what you do, like, you need to get out as quickly as possible. If you are not living your passion, you need to get out as quickly as possible. Like, if I'm saying that but not living it, like, I started to realize that, especially over the last year, I'm like, dude, I'm not lit. Like, my passions are changing, and that's okay. Like, I think that's the hard part. It's like hard to say.
That is the hard part.
It's okay. And so it's like, okay, this chapter is coming to a close for me. Doesn't mean that the brand can't live on. I can sell it to somebody. I can maybe own or finance it to a team member. Like, there's options on the table, but I've just come to the realization that my time is coming to an end in the scooter dealership.
And it's somebody else's dream. It will be somebody else's dream to be the new Collin or whatever that might be for this brand. And you would give that person the opportunity to do that. I mean, that makes some sense, and that does help, being able to kind of, you're right about that, like talking to somebody and saying something. It's funny, I just said this to Jason Carr. He was on our podcast today, as a matter of fact, for Express. He owns Express Employment here in town, and he and I were talking about some business stuff last week. And I said, for a lot of years, I said that thing where it was like, man, the highs are super high. When you own your own business, like the highs are great and the lows are just, you really feel those lows. I said that without ever feeling a low. It was always really good for us for a long time. And the first time that things were going sideways and things were going tough in 2008, 9, 10, that great recession period where businesses were pulling back on advertising, things were changing in our market, I really got to feel that for the first time, and I realized I'm not saying it anymore, I'm actually living it. Like, I get it. And so to hear you say that, right, and say like it's not my passion anymore, and that's okay. That's a big step, man. I think that makes a lot of sense, like, I don't know.
The whole reason I became an entrepreneur, it's funny because the whole reason I became an entrepreneur was for the freedom to do what I want, when I want. And what I discovered is, in this process, you end up building your own safe business. Like, you have to see, like, sure, I'm an entrepreneur. Like, I've had this business for 17 years, and like, it's got its up and downs, and we got our seasonality. But the bottom line is, it's been really consistent in putting a paycheck in my pocket, providing benefits, like all the things that as an entrepreneur you're willing to like risk, because you don't want to go work for the man. Well, I had this I basically created my own full-time job and realized, dude, like, I'm going to go do what I want, like what I love to do. Yeah. And I love this.
Yeah.
And I feel like my calling, and this is not to even like talk bad about a scooter dealership or anything, like, but I think where I'm at as an entrepreneur, I feel like I've outgrown the scooter dealership.
There's nothing wrong with that, though.
You know what I mean?
No, and you got to give yourself some permission in order to feel that way. I mean, and you sound like you are. Like, the idea of saying, like, been there, done that a little bit. It's time for somebody else to feel that, and me to go find whatever that might be, whatever it is, like whatever is you're most passionate about. That's a scary leap. It's a scary leap the older you get and the more comfortable you become. Like, maybe that's just me saying that, but like, the older you get and the more comfortable you become in life and stuff and whatever it is, it's harder to make some of those decisions. Not for everybody. But for some of us, it's like, it's one of those things where you look at it and you go like, am I asking a bit much here? Am I being greedy? Like, I'm doing well. Everything's good. Do I need more? Like, why do I need to do that? Like, I got a good gig. Why am I trying to screw that up? Am I being greedy? Like, I don't know. I feel that sometimes when you start talking about like what might be next, you know, like what might be next? What might you be doing? I don't know. It's an interesting question. And this is what amazes me when I talk to people who've been running a business look, anybody can do anything for a few years, dude. You've seen it. All right. So when you hear somebody say, I've been in business for 5 years, I'm like, cool, good for you. And then you hear 10 and you're like, okay, cool. Then you hear 15 and you're like, all right, I feel you. I know what you got. Yep. I know what it's like. Then you hear 20 and you're like, crap's hard, isn't it? It's hard. And then you hear 30 and 40 and you're just like, I'm amazed at those people.
Yeah, me
because how do they keep that fire going? How do they keep that passion going? And doing anything for that many number of years is crazy hard.
Yeah.
Any of us can do anything for a few years. Doing it for 20, 30, 40 years. You're at 17 years. I'm at 22 years. It's a long time, man.
Yeah, I admire people who know exactly what they want, like, and they get it. Like my dad knew he was going to be a pilot since he was a kid. And like was like the only thing he pursued, and he's a pilot to this day for Southwest Airlines. You know what I mean? And it's like I admire that so much. People ask me all the time, "So were you passionate about scooters?" I'm like, "No, I was passionate about this problem that we solved, and the vehicle that we used to do that was a scooter business."
Yes, I completely understand that.
And so now I just feel like the impact that we're going to have is much greater. It's just like this podcast will be a different vehicle for greater impact.
Yep.
And like I very much like when I look at the University of Florida and this transportation issue, I look at this mission that we had. I'm like check, like that box is done.
You're right.
And I've had a lot of people who are like, you know, and friends of mine who own other dealerships are like, oh man, you could like grow your sales, like get into ATVs and dirt bikes and motorcycles. And I'm like, it's not why I got into the business.
When you did a little bit of that, didn't you? Like you did experiment with a little bit of things, and then you're like, I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's just, it never fueled me. I was never passionate about it. And
I get it.
And so like, you know, that's when I just realized that it was just no longer aligning. But
I get it.
Yeah, it's a crazy realization. That's why I think a lot of this conversation tonight is very, very relevant.
Yeah,
to that.
I didn't know where we were heading on this today.
That's the best part of this, man.
I did not know where we were really talking about that. But like, you know, it's funny when you talk about origin stories and you talk about like kind of what you're doing and how you're doing it, and you know, it's interesting how. Like I haven't had that conversation in a really long time, and sometimes you need to have it to remember kind of where you started and how it went, to have a bit of a gut check as to where you are currently and kind of what you're doing and how you're doing it, you know. And I don't know, it's interesting, and we're nothing like we were when that whole story that I told you about how we started and what we were doing, and we're nothing like that anymore because life is not the same in 2021 than it was in 2001.
Right.
Hell, life's not the same now as it was a year ago. Like,
it's crazy, right?
You went to Italy and saw some crazy like scooter store place, like manufacturer, right?
That's awesome.
Can you imagine going to Italy now? Like right now, it's like, what? Wait, I can't. I'm not allowed. Am I allowed on a plane? Like, it's crazy. Like the world is a weird place, and so like, you know, it's interesting to hear all those things and then realize kind of where you are today and kind of where you are now.
Yeah, I think it's fun. Like, I think you have to look at the entrepreneurial journey and just be like, this is part of the journey. Sometimes you have seasons, you have chapters end, like, you know, it's on to the next, and like this place will always have a special piece of my heart, but you know, it's like it's time for what's next. So
knowing that and feeling that and acting upon it are different things, right? So I you know,
man, I think it's kind of taking some time to get to the point where I'm like, all right, I got to start. I don't want to be like, say I'm going to make an unemotional decision. Like there's definitely going to be some emotion involved, but in the actual decision making process, I'm going to make the best decision.
I think the emotion comes after that.
Yeah.
So like when we decided to close that buyer's guide, like in 2010, I think it was, this was coming off of a really bad couple of years. When did you started? When?
2004.
Did you experience that lull at all? Did that happen to you in 2008, 9?
No, because interestingly, you know, we're so dependent on the college market that, no matter what, like college students are coming in the fall, right? And gas prices were creeping up towards $5 a gallon. It was definitely $3-4 a gallon. And so scooters getting 80 miles per gallon, like we were selling scooters like crazy. And I actually have kind of said, that was another thing. It's like, I'm like, man, like I always felt like we were kind of, in our own little economy here in Gainesville, not really affected by a lot of the other stuff that happens.
Especially if your business was around the university.
Yeah. And
like
so
predicated on.
And
the
so I'm like, I would
say.
kind of always use that as an excuse. Oh, and like we'll always be good until there's a pandemic and everybody's on Zoom and nobody's driving a scooter to campus.
Right. Did you buy Zoom? Right. We should have all bought Zoom in like March.
I did.
God, I hate you, man.
I mean, I sold it early, but like I did make some money on it. But like I got into stock sharing, like day trading stuff, simply because I was like, everybody's going to be on Zoom. Let me go buy a share of Zoom
Well,
stock.
You're smarter than the average bear. I had been using Zoom for a couple of years for our National Association board meetings, and everybody's like, what the hell is Zoom, and how does that work? I was like, we're using this from now on for all of our board meetings. And then pandemic hit, and it never occurred to me, like, I've had this conversation with John Darr and other guys where I'm like, what are we missing right now that if we jump on, like 2 years from now, we're like, why didn't we see that coming? Why did we not?
Bitcoin.
I said today, I was like, Bitcoin is kind of like it's like a teenager, dude. Like, well, there's nothing meaner in the whole wide world than like your 12-year-old daughter. I don't know if you
I have boys.
Okay, yeah. 12-year-olds, man, they're not great. Okay, so like, but if you wait 5 minutes, they're fine. And then if you wait 5 minutes again, they're just terrible again. So like, this is kind of like Bitcoin. So like, Bitcoin is, awesome one day, and then the next day it makes you cry.
Crashes, yeah.
Right.
It is. You just got to like stay.
I told John, I was like, it only can go down 100%, right? It can go up a bunch, but it can only go down 100%. Remember that. So, like, yeah, I don't know. It's crazy.
This is going by really, really fast.
Yes,
it's been a great conversation, but I kind of want to fast forward to like, just, I mean, we only have a couple minutes left, so you're going to have to really give us a fast forward version, but yeah, but kind of like where things are at now. Even like pick up one of your magazines and show it to the camera and stuff, and kind of like talk us through like what does the business become here in 2021?
So great question, and I know it kind of got off on a side topic. Sorry,
I love it. I think it's gonna be super valuable to our audience.
Yeah, so I love I love that kind of, and I'll come back and talk if we want about other stuff down the road if you want to. But now we've really become a magazine publisher and have for the last 4, 5, 6 years or so, maybe even longer. And in that, we publish Our Town magazine, Senior Times magazine, and some other ancillary products that we kind of do in town. And Our Town is Gainesville's largest community lifestyle magazine. We believe in direct mail. We have 3 editions, essentially, a Gainesville edition, a High Springs Alachua edition, and a Newberry and Jonesville edition. And the way that we talk about needing to find a way to remain relevant, so print can absolutely matter still. In this world of digital chaos, all right? Print can absolutely matter if you sort of build your products around these 3 C's that we created, and that's circulation, content, and cost. So the days of a small little glossy publication that directs mail to one neighborhood and nothing else, gone, okay? And they charge you $1,500 a page. What we do is we have massive circulation, so circulation really matters. And we distribute over almost 35,000 copies of our magazine throughout our various editions. Content really matters. So it has to be content that is relevant, it's local, it's written by us, not canned off the internet, not recipe garbage, it's real stuff. And the cost has to be appropriate so that when you as a business owner want to run with me, you don't run once, you run forever. Like if you pick up our issues today, we have the same customers often that we've had last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Because once they're in, they realize there's a great value there. So we've become, those 3 C's are how we build all of our print products still. Content, cost, content, circulation, and cost. Really, really, really important to our overall mission. And then the further thing that we did is we created these sections that we realized where people were saying, hey, we have traditional advertising, of course, regular ad. You can run a half-page ad or a full-page ad, sure, no problem. And we solve a lot of problems for a lot of clients who run with us all the time. But there are people who are, you as a business owner know, you get pulled in 15 different directions to spend money. Do I spend money online on Google or Facebook or Instagram?
The Whoa GNV podcast, should I invest in that?
Do I become a sponsor for Whoa GNV? Whoa GNV podcast, right? And yeah, the answer is they're all great ideas, but you only have a limited budget. So what we decided to do was create these special sections and create these this sections within the magazine that run periodically throughout the year that advertisers can run once or twice and then maybe not run again. And so things like Share the Love, which is a section that we do in March and April, our March-April edition and our September-October edition. Or maybe it's our how-to section that runs, which creates sort of this expert guide of people who are how to choose an electrician, how to choose a gardener, how to choose a lawyer. And we have these sections that run in the magazine. And then, of course, Our Town Favorites, which I'm really excited to talk about, and I'll talk about briefly.
Yeah, please.
Like this, Gainesville already has this best of concept that is already run by another organization here in town. The best Chinese restaurant, best pizza, best hamburger. And I really didn't like the way that was being run in town because it's a pay-to-play model. It's very much if you want to be the best burger, you got to buy this ad package, and then we put you on. I hated that. If we're going to do a Reader's Choice poll, if it's going to be, Collin, what's your favorite Chinese place in town, or what's your favorite pizza place in town? I want you to pick Leonardo's because Leonardo's is your favorite, which happened to have won our favorite pizza, by the way.
Awesome.
So, and I don't like the best of because it makes it sound like everybody else is not great. If you're the best, then somebody else is not the best. So we decided to start this whole thing called Our Town's Favorites. And it's a true Reader's Choice poll, which by the time this podcast will come out, will be open at ourtownsfavorites.com. And you can vote for your favorite whatever in over 250 categories. And it allows us then we give whoever the winner is the certificate, the logo, the access. We want you to be recognized as the favorite burger in town or the favorite chiropractor in town. No obligations. If you want to run with me and say, thank you for voting us our town's favorite chiropractor, man, we'd love to have you run. Like, it would mean a lot to us if you ran. It would help a lot. But if you don't want to, you're still going to get the certificate. You're still going to get mentioned in the magazine as part of our section. You're still going to be our town's favorite chiropractor. And so I really love this model of bringing our town's favorites to Gainesville. And we launched it last year, and we had over 18,000 participants. Crazy successful. And then the pandemic hit. And we weren't able to have our events and bring people out and recognize, which was all going to be free and open to the public. Only sponsor paid, because I didn't want to have this like black tie fancy event where it was $1,000 a table. It was come on out and find out who won Gainesville's best pizza. So we're starting that March 1st, actually. So next week, or whenever this comes out, March 1st through April 23rd or April 24th, we'll be voting for our town's favorites. And we do things like that so that we remain relevant in the marketplace. Like, we really want to make sure that our town remains, timely, pertinent, and relevant. And we do that through these special sections. And our town's favorites is a great example of that. So I'm really proud of that. We had a lot of great success. It's awesome to drive down the road and see a road sign and there's hey, there's an Our Town Favorites sticker there.
That's cool.
It's a roofer. That guy doesn't run with me, but he's still our town's favorite roofer. And I love that. So it's kind of fun. I'm kind of jacked about that because it's kind of fun to be able to recognize great businesses in town.
Sure.
Without any obligation of or being held to, I got to be an advertiser or I've got to be involved. Run if you want to run. Don't run if you don't want to run. You're still voted as our town's favorite. I know it sounds a little cheesy, maybe a little I don't know, but I love it.
I don't think it sounds cheesy.
Does it not?
No.
Okay.
Our Town Favorites sounds cool.
I mean, I dig it. I just don't want people to think that it's one of those things.
Well, and it's cool because I saw a lot of people sharing maybe the article page?
Yeah.
On social media, and it was
huge social media thing that
it's cool.
We try to incorporate social media in all of those things because we recognize that's where the current conversation is happening, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. So we do include a lot of our packages include some social media advertising as well because we know that matters to the client. I don't know if it works as well, but I know that it matters to them, and that's where the conversation's happening. And so that's where we'll be. That's kind of our focus for our town.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's awesome. This has been a ton of fun.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you came on. Thanks for bringing the booze.
I was nervous, bro.
I told you not to be nervous.
I know. I don't know.
Once you kind of get into it, it's it's just a conversation, man.
You made me share stuff, dude. I shared things.
That's what I do. I try to take it a little bit deeper.
You did. It worked.
Sometimes I just throw the question. I just throw the questions out there, saying so are you going to tell us how much you paid for it? Yeah. Just kind of hoping that you're just yeah, sure.
I don't care. I mean, that was a long time ago, man. What do I care?
That's what I figure. But people always want to know. They're always curious, and I'm.
Yeah, I don't mind at all.
Yeah,
it was fun. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for coming. So tell our audience where they can follow you guys on social media, where they can connect with you if they want to advertise with you, how they would do that.
Sure. So the name of our company is Tower Publications. So Tower Publications is sort of the umbrella name where we publish all of our other products. So you can certainly go to towerpublications.com and learn about our individual products. You can go to visitourtowns.com, which is our website for Our Town Magazine, and of course seniortimesmagazine.com. You can go to our Facebook page. If you just search Our Town Magazine or Senior Times, whatever it might be, you'll be able to find us and like us and follow us on there. We do provide a lot of content on those pages, so we try to, I don't want to be burdensome, like I'm not posting like 5 times a day, but we have some structured posts that come out a few times a week that we think are relevant to our community, and we add some value to kind of the people who follow us. We promise not to blow up your inbox too much, I promise. But they can find us at those places. And of course, most of our magazines are direct mailed, so if you don't get one in your mailbox already, then you can try to find us at one of our over 500 locations in town. Doctors' offices, waiting rooms, restaurants. That's a little glitchy at this point, obviously with the pandemic, but since 95 or 90% of all of our circulation is mailed anyways, you can still find us at a lot of those locations in town. A list of that is on our website.
It's awesome, man.
Thanks, dude.
Another community builder, you guys.
It's fun, man. Yeah, this is my hometown, dude.
Yeah,
right?
It's awesome.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thanks so much to the team that makes this show possible. Got to give love to James Leitner, who does all of our filming and editing. James, thank you so much. Sarah Lentz, who's killing it with social media over here. Did you get some good pictures of me tonight? Awesome.
Me.
And of course, my co-host Michael Dees. I hope you feel better, man. And if you were driving and have a chance to write down the information of our incredible sponsors that make this show possible, not a problem, you guys. Make sure you go to whoagnv.com/sponsors. Super easy. We have links there to all of their websites, and you can get linked in quick. And special thanks this episode to our friends over at UF Mover Guys. If you need help moving your home or your business, give our friends Brad and Jordan a call at UF Mover Guys. These guys do it all. I'm talking full service packing, moving bulky items, disassembling that furniture. Like nobody wants to disassemble the furniture when they're moving. But they'll do it for you. And if you need storage, they got your back there too. Charlie, you know what my favorite thing about UF Mover Guys is?
Brad's beard. Dude, that beard is
like
glorious,
bonus.
man.
Yeah, that beard is bonus.
I have a little. I can't do it. I see, like, I have a beard. It's gray as hell, but I can't do that. What is your favorite thing?
Well, in addition to his amazing beard, you don't have to pay anything up front. You pay once the move is completed, and you are completely satisfied. These guys have over 600 Google reviews at a 4.9 star rating for a reason. Call them now to have them help you move your business or your home at 352-415-0886. Again, that's 352-415-0886, or visit their website at ufmoverguys.com. And of course, when you do, say, I heard you on the WHOA GNV podcast, the podcast bringing you businesses and individuals that make you go, whoa. Whoa. We will see you later. Bye.